You won't believe how far an HOA president went to seize my land. So I got the ultimate revenge. And trust me, you're not ready for how it ends. Before we dive into today's story, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so we can keep bringing you amazing stories like this one. The story begins with Alex, a calm and relatively laid-back individual, enjoying a peaceful life in a suburban neighborhood. Alex's home is nestled in a quiet cul-de-sac, surrounded by well-kept lawns, flower beds, and a sense of community that has always felt like a safe haven. The house is simple but cozy, a place Alex can escape to after long workdays, a refuge that offers privacy and comfort. For years, Alex has lived here without issue, maintaining friendly relationships with neighbors and ensuring everything is in line with the community's rules. The Homeowners Association, HOA, has always been present, but it was never more than a minor inconvenience until Karen arrived. Karen, the new president of the HOA, quickly makes her presence known. She's not like the previous HOA presidents, who were more relaxed and understood that homeowners had lives outside the regulations. Karen, however, has a different agenda. She views her role not just as a leader, but as an enforcer of the rules, a self-proclaimed authority figure who believes the community must be strictly governed. From the beginning, she seems to take a particular interest in Alex's property. Her power-hungry nature becomes clear when she starts sending out letters with a long list of new and stricter regulations that must be followed, many of which seem unnecessary and excessive. The community, once a place of calm, begins to feel suffocating under her reign. At first, Alex tries to brush off Karen's overbearing attitude. After all, the new rules seem relatively harmless, and Alex figures they'll adapt, just as they always have. However, it doesn't take long for Karen to start targeting specific homes, and Alex's property is first on her list. One day, a letter arrives from Karen herself, stating that Alex's fence, which has been in place for years without issue, is now encroaching on common property. The letter is filled with legal jargon, demanding that Alex move the fence immediately and pay for any modifications. Alex is confused and frustrated. The fence has always been in its place, and Alex has never been told there was an issue before. But Karen isn't interested in reason. Alex reaches out to her, explaining that the fence is well within the property line and has been there for years with no complaints. But Karen refuses to listen, her response terse and dismissive. She insists that the fence must be moved, and she issues a fine for each day it remains in violation. Alex is stunned. They've never had a problem with the fence, and now Karen is treating it like a serious infraction. But Karen isn't done. She starts sending more letters, each one more aggressive than the last, and the fines continue to pile up. Alex tries to talk to Karen again, asking for a compromise or a little more time to sort things out, but she is unrelenting. She tells Alex that the rules must be followed and that this issue is a matter of principle. Soon, Karen starts ramping up her efforts. One day, she shows up at Alex's house unannounced with a team of contractors in tow, ready to tear down the fence. Alex is horrified and furious. The situation has escalated to the point where Karen is actually invading their property and forcing changes that don't make any sense. Alex feels helpless. Their attempts to reason with Karen have failed, and now they are being subjected to an invasion of their personal space. The contractors begin tearing down parts of the fence, and Alex stands there, unable to stop them. The sight is infuriating. This isn't just about a fence anymore. It's about control, power, and Karen's need to impose her will on others. Feeling cornered, Alex decides to take action. They begin researching their legal rights, but quickly realize that fighting this battle through legal means will be both expensive and time-consuming. The constant harassment, the threats, and the feeling of being violated have pushed Alex to the brink. The emotional toll begins to mount, and Alex starts feeling like they've lost all control over their life. The peaceful life they once enjoyed is slipping through their fingers, and the stress is overwhelming. In a fit of frustration, Alex starts considering a far more drastic solution, a way to get back at Karen and the HOA that would be bold, unexpected, and irreversible. It's at this moment that Alex comes up with an idea, a plan so outlandish, so absurd, that it could only work. The idea isn't just about punishing Karen. It's about making a statement, taking control in a way that would leave the entire neighborhood stunned. Alex doesn't know all the details just yet, but they know one thing for sure. They're going to make Karen regret ever crossing them. With newfound determination, Alex starts researching everything they need for the plan, a plan that involves flooding the neighborhood with an unexpected, terrifying force of nature, piranhas. They begin gathering information, learning everything about these aggressive fish, their habitat, and how they can be transported without drawing attention. This is no longer about a fence or an HOA rule. It's about sending a message that no one, especially Karen, will ever forget. Once Alex's idea of flooding the neighborhood with piranhas takes root, they dive into meticulous planning to make their audacious revenge a reality. Alex realizes that in order for the plan to work, they must be strategic and low-key. Too much attention, and the neighborhood will be in full alert before the piranhas even reach the water. Alex starts by researching how to acquire piranhas, which proves more complicated than they initially thought. Piranhas, native to South America, aren't exactly easy to find in pet stores or aquarium shops. Alex spends hours on the internet, diving deep into obscure forums and black market websites, seeking out exotic fish dealers who specialize in dangerous creatures. Eventually, they locate a reputable supplier who guarantees the piranhas will be delivered discreetly. Although the idea of dealing with dangerous fish still feels surreal to Alex, the thought of Karen's overbearing and oppressive rule gives them the courage to press on. They place an order, unsure of what exactly they're getting into, but confident they can make it work. While waiting for the piranhas to arrive, Alex figures out the logistics of how they'll execute the plan. The key will be to find a water source big enough to release the piranhas into, somewhere that could quickly transform into a breeding ground for the aggressive fish. After much deliberation, Alex decides the perfect location is the neighborhood's central community pond, a picturesque spot where neighbors gather to walk, relax, and even fish. It's a well-known landmark, and Alex knows no one will expect anything unusual to happen there. The challenge is to release the piranhas in a way that seems completely accidental. If anyone suspects foul play, the plan could backfire quickly. Alex spends the next several days making sure the pond is free of surveillance cameras and nosy neighbors who might witness what's about to unfold. It's a dangerous game, but Alex feels each step is necessary to get back at Karen for all the havoc she's caused. During this period, Alex also focuses on acquiring everything they'll need to transport and release the piranhas. They purchase large, reinforced containers that will keep the fish secure during transit, as well as supplies to ensure the fish remain alive and unharmed until they're ready to be set free. Alex becomes increasingly obsessed with the idea of creating chaos, specifically in Karen's world. They fantasize about how satisfying it will be to watch Karen's perfect, controlled life unravel. But there's still so much to prepare, and Alex knows the plan won't succeed without meticulous execution. When the piranhas finally arrive, they come packed in several large bags of water. Alex is shocked at how small and seemingly harmless the fish appear in person. They'd expected something larger, more menacing, but these piranhas look delicate, almost too harmless. Yet, Alex knows these fish are deadly when they swim in schools, and that's exactly the effect they're hoping for. Alex takes extra care to keep the fish healthy and calm during the wait, making sure they're well kept and ready for release. As Alex transfers the piranhas into transport containers, they feel a strange mix of excitement and dread. This is no longer just petty revenge. It's an all-or-nothing mission. They wonder if they're prepared for the chaos that will follow once the plan is set into motion. The day of the operation arrives, and Alex feels the rush of adrenaline that only comes with executing a perfectly calculated plan. They wake up early, before sunrise, to ensure the neighborhood is still quiet. The streets are empty, and Alex moves quickly, loading the containers of piranhas into the trunk of their car along with a few ice packs to keep the fish calm during the journey. Alex's heart races with anticipation as they drive through the neighborhood, the reality of what they're about to do beginning to set in. This is more than just about a fence or an HOA rule. This is about sending a message to Karen and showing her that she can't control everyone. When Alex arrives at the pond, they park their car in a discreet spot and unload the containers as quietly as possible. The stillness of the early morning is almost eerie, and Alex feels like a shadow moving through the neighborhood. They take a moment to savor the satisfaction of knowing that the neighborhood will soon be irrevocably changed. Carefully, Alex makes their way to the edge of the pond and begins releasing the piranhas into the water. As the fish slip into the murky depths, Alex watches them swim in unison, quickly disappearing beneath the surface. The moment feels surreal. Alex stands there for several seconds, watching the ripples spread out across the pond where the piranhas have just entered. They imagine the chaos that will unfold in the coming hours. Karen, out on her daily walk by the pond, will have no idea what's about to happen. Alex can almost picture her surprised expression when she sees the piranhas start appearing near the water surface. The sense of satisfaction is almost enough to make them smile. But as Alex watches, a troubling thought crosses their mind. The piranhas aren't showing the aggression they expected immediately. They start to question whether they've made a mistake. For a few moments, Alex feels the brief sting of doubt. Are the piranhas too small? Will they not become the chaotic force they imagined? The water is still, and there's no sign of the frenzy Alex had envisioned. But then, after a few more minutes, things start to change. The piranhas begin to stir, darting in tight groups as they move across the pond. The water starts to ripple with movement, and Alex watches with growing satisfaction as the piranhas grow more active, their school starting to circle. As the hours go by, Alex leaves the scene, making sure to retrace their steps carefully and avoid leaving any evidence behind. Their heart still races with excitement, but there's a sense of pride as well. The plan has worked. Now all that's left is to wait for Karen's reaction. Alex feels confident that Karen's pristine, well-ordered world is about to be upended in the most bizarre way possible. They leave the pond with a sense of triumph, ready to watch the chaos unfold in the coming days. The sun rises over the neighborhood, casting a peaceful golden glow on the community. People begin their daily routines, unaware that their world is about to be shaken to its core. The pond, a central part of the neighborhood, is peaceful at first, still and serene. But under the surface, the piranhas are already beginning to stir, their sharp teeth waiting to cause chaos. For Alex, the waiting game is the hardest part. They spend the morning watching from a distance, hidden in their car across the street from the pond, heart racing with anticipation. They can barely contain their excitement as they wait for the storm to hit, knowing it's only a matter of time before the piranhas become an issue. Karen, the HOA president, is the first to arrive at the pond. She walks along her usual path with her oversized sunglasses on and a coffee cup in her hand. She's blissfully unaware that today will mark the beginning of her downfall. As she approaches the water's edge, she notices the surface seems unusually disturbed. She pauses and squints, trying to make sense of the movement beneath the water. At first, it looks like just the usual ripple of fish, but then she sees it, small, darting movements close to the surface, too fast and erratic to be typical pond life. And then, with a small splash, something breaks through the surface. A large fish, but unlike any Karen has ever seen in the pond before. It's sleek, with sharp fins and an aggressive demeanor. Karen takes a step back, startled. She leans down to get a better look, her curiosity piqued. Before she can process what's happening, several more piranhas leap from the water, flashing their sharp teeth in the sunlight. Karen recoils in shock, realizing that she's surrounded by a school of aggressive fish. They're coming closer, darting through the water with alarming speed. Her heart races, and she backs away, but it's too late. As she stumbles backward, she slips and falls, her coffee spilling everywhere. The piranhas seem to sense her vulnerability, and a few draw closer, circling in the water, their eyes glinting with predatory intent. Screaming, Karen scrambles to her feet, but she slips again on the wet ground. This time, she manages to get to her feet, but is completely disoriented. She starts to back away toward the shore, hoping she can make it to safety. But the piranhas have already marked her as the target, and they are relentlessly pursuing her, their sharp teeth gleaming in the water. Karen, panicked and furious, shrieks for help, but no one is around. The neighborhood is still, with only a few early risers walking their dogs in the distance. The nearest neighbor, Mrs. Nelson, looks up but is too far to hear Karen's cries. As Karen struggles to get away from the water's edge, she's finally able to retreat to the grass, her heart still pounding in her chest. Her clothes are soaked, and she's breathing heavily from the panic. She's never been in a situation like this. She's always been the one to enforce the rules, to control the neighborhood, and now she's the one being controlled by the chaos she's so often imposed on others. But Karen doesn't have time to process the shock before she hears the unmistakable sound of a car pulling up. It's Alex. Alex parks their car in the same spot they had the night before, watching the scene unfold in front of them. They can barely suppress their satisfaction as they see Karen, flustered and disheveled, scrambling away from the pond, drenched from head to toe. Alex had known it would be bad for her, but witnessing it firsthand fills them with a deep, vindictive pleasure. For the first time in months, Alex feels like they have control over the situation and over Karen's world. It's a moment of sweet, poetic justice. But things don't go as smoothly as Alex had anticipated. The neighborhood is beginning to wake up, and soon, more residents will notice what's happening by the pond. Alex can see some neighbors beginning to gather near the water, curious about Karen's screams. And that's when things get even worse for her. "Is everything okay, Karen?" Mrs. Nelson calls out from the distance, her voice carrying across the still air. Karen, now dripping wet and looking like a complete mess, points toward the water. "Call animal control. There are piranhas in the pond," she yells. Her voice cracks as she tries to regain her composure, but it's clear she's completely rattled. The residents gather at the edge of the pond, staring in shock at the fish swarming below. Some take out their phones to record the scene. Others simply stand frozen in disbelief. There are murmurs of confusion, fear, and surprise. No one can quite process what's happening. The HOA president, the one who had forced everyone to comply with the strictest of rules, is now the one to blame for the havoc that's unleashed on the neighborhood. As the chaos continues to unfold, Karen's calls for help become more frantic. "This is an emergency," she cries out to a group of residents standing nearby. But instead of offering sympathy, one of the neighbors, a longtime resident named Greg, turns to Karen with a disbelieving expression. "How the hell did piranhas end up in the pond, Karen? This doesn't make any sense." Alex, watching from their car, smiles to themselves. They know it's only a matter of time before the neighborhood turns against Karen completely. They've seen enough. Now it's time to leave. The chaos is in full swing, and the damage is done. No one will ever trust Karen's leadership again. Her reign of terror has finally been broken. The next few days are filled with calls to animal control, debates about the pond's safety, and widespread gossip about the mysterious piranhas. Residents are on edge, but more than that, they're furious. It doesn't take long for people to connect the dots. Karen had been the one who relentlessly enforced rules, who harassed neighbors over the smallest infractions. And now, something even more invasive, more dangerous, has occurred under her watch. The HOA's reputation is in ruins, and Karen is the one left to clean up the mess. But it's too late. The damage is done. Alex's revenge is complete. Over the next few weeks, Karen is forced to step down from her position as HOA president, and the neighborhood finally begins to breathe again. The oppressive rules she'd tried to impose are loosened, and the residents begin to take back control of their lives. Alex, while still keeping a low profile, knows that they have won, not just against Karen, but against the system of control that had once suffocated their peaceful existence. The neighborhood has changed, and for Alex, it's a victory that tastes all the sweeter because it was so unexpected, so perfectly executed. In the end, Karen never suspects Alex. She never even considers that her downfall was orchestrated by the one person she had targeted the most. The chaos she so feared and sought to control came at her from the most unlikely place, and it left her with nothing but the ruins of her own ambition.